The Duke of Sussex has been ordered to explain why messages with his ghostwriter were destroyed after the publication of his memoir Spare, when they could be relevant to his legal battle with the publishers of The Sun. Prince Harry was also told to attempt to retrieve the messages from the messaging service Signal, and his lawyers ordered to search through his other texts, WhatsApp messages, and emails from 2005 to January 2023, when his best-selling autobiography was published, for relevant documents. Anthony Hudson KC for News Group Newspapers, NGN, accused the Duke of obfuscation and creating an obstacle course during its efforts to find relevant material for the litigation over the prince's allegations of unlawful information gathering. Harry had to be forced, kicking and screaming, to carry out searches of his communications, Hudson told the High Court Judge Mr. Justice Fancourt on Thursday. At the one-day hearing, NGN argued the signal messages between 2020 and 2023 were important because Spare contained extensive references to the Duke's knowledge and suspicion of unlawful information gathering before 2013, the applicable date in the case. Any claim for damages must be lodged within 6 years, with Harry having launched his legal action in 2019. If he believed he had a potential claim against NGN before 2013, then the case could be dismissed on the grounds it was filed too late. In his oral ruling, the judge described troubling evidence that a large number of potentially relevant documents, confidential messages between the claimant and his ghostwriter, J.R. Mooringer, of Spare, as well as all the drafts of Spare, were destroyed sometime between 2021 and 2023, well after this claim was underway. It was not clear what exactly happened and needs to be made so by a witness statement by the claimant himself explaining what happened to the signal messages between him and his ghostwriter and whether any attempts have been made to seek to retrieve them, Fancourt added. It seems to me inherently likely that in the course of discussing at length the material for the Duke's autobiography, matters would have been said that related to the parts of Spare in which unlawful information gathering in relation to newspapers is discussed. He said Mooringer had written in a New Yorker magazine article that he and Harry were texting around the clock. The judge ordered the Duke's lawyers to search texts, WhatsApps, and Signal messages, as well as Harry's laptop, for relevant documents from 2005 to the end of January 2023, which was the date of publication of Spare, using 47 keywords. He said attempts should be made to retrieve the signal messages that were believed to have been deleted. The judge also expressed real concern that the majority of searches for relevant documents had been conducted by the Duke himself in California rather than by his solicitors. He said that, apart from the articles Harry complained about and documents relating to his responding to a summary judgment application, the Duke had only disclosed 5 documents, adding, "That is rather remarkable and gives me cause for concern about the disclosure exercise." Harry, 39, alleges he was targeted by journalists and private investigators working for NGN, which also published the now defunct News of the World. He is among a number of people to bring cases against the publisher, with a full trial of some cases due to be held in January. The publisher has previously denied unlawful activity took place at The Sun. David Sherborne, representing Harry, said the autobiography was written in hindsight and was not evidence of his contemporary state of knowledge. He dismissed the defendant's application as a classic fishing expedition for potential information that was entirely unnecessary and disproportionate. It was monstrously inaccurate and headline-grabbing for NGN to allege the Duke had to be dragged kicking and screaming to disclose documents, he said. Harry was voluntarily allowing a search of his emails that had taken 150 hours and cost £50,000. He said NGN had previously deleted millions of emails as a way of hiding incriminating evidence. It was the height of hypocrisy to suggest that obstacles are being put in the way by the claimant, he added. The judge granted NGN's request that Harry's lawyers write to his former solicitors at the law firm Harbottle and Lewis and royal household members Sir Clive Alderton, the private secretary to the king, and Sir Michael Stevens, the keeper of the Privy Purse, to request communication records concerning the Duke. Harry was ordered to make an interim payment of £60,000 in legal costs to NGN after a ruling largely in favor of the publisher. Piers Morgan knew of phone hacking when at the Mirror. High Court hears Piers Morgan knew about illegal phone hacking when he was editor of the Daily Mirror, it has been alleged at the High Court. The first day of the phone hacking trial, initiated by Prince Harry and other well-known figures, heard claims that illegal activity, including voicemail interception, was carried out on an industrial scale by staff at Mirror newspapers. David Sherborne, the barrister acting for Harry and the other alleged victims, told the court that Morgan must have known about illegal behavior at the newspaper he edited between 1995 and 2004. According to legal filings, in one alleged incident, Morgan asked a journalist to name the source of a celebrity story and was told the information had come from voicemails. In another, a witness described how Morgan was laughing mockingly as he entertained the Daily Mirror newsroom by repeatedly playing staff a private voicemail left by Paul McCartney for his then-girlfriend, Heather Mills. In another, a witness claimed Morgan knew the default PIN codes that could be used to illegally access voicemails on different mobile phone networks. Morgan, now a presenter on Rupert Murdoch's Talk TV, has always denied knowingly commissioning or publishing stories based on illegally obtained voicemails. The former Daily Mirror political editor David Seymour told the court that staff at the newspaper heard Morgan openly discussing how phone hacking operated when at a dinner with executives. Having worked closely with the editor for a decade, he alleged Morgan was unreliable and boastful and apt to tell untruths when it suited him. The veteran political journalist recalled an incident in which Morgan obtained a voicemail left by McCartney in which the singer sang a Beatles song to Mills as part of an attempt to patch up their relationship. According to the legal filings, Mr. Seymour recalls that he was walking through the newsroom one day, likely in March 2001, and Mr. Morgan was standing in the middle with a group of reporters around him holding a tape machine and played the message to all present a number of times, laughing mockingly. Mr. Seymour recalls that the Beatles song played by Mr. McCartney was actually "And I Love Her." Benjamin Wegg Prosser, a former Downing Street official, recalled going for dinner at a Chinese restaurant with Morgan during the Labour Party conference in September 2002. During the meal, Wegg Prosser asked Morgan how the Daily Mirror had obtained a story about an affair between the then England football manager Sven-Göran Eriksson and the television presenter Ulrika Jonsson, according to the court filings. The legal filings say Mr. Morgan asked Mr. Prosser which network provider he used for his mobile phone and then told him the default PIN for that network and then explained that the default PIN numbers were well known and rarely changed, which is how mobile phone messages could be accessed remotely. He then said with a smile that the story on Mr. Erickson and Ms. Johnson was obtained through that method. The journalist Omid Scobie claims he heard Morgan discussing the use of voicemails when he was a journalism student doing work experience on the Mirror's entertainment desk in 2002. Scobie recalls during one of those days in the office, the editor, Piers Morgan, came over to talk to someone about a story relating to Kylie Minogue and her boyfriend James Gooding. Mr. Morgan asked how confident they were in the reporting and was told that the information had come from voicemails. Legal filings state the journalist told the court that he had since found an article that appeared in the Mirror and appeared to relate to that encounter. The article quotes friends and refers to contact between Ms. Minogue and Mr. Gooding. He said, Scobie is now best known as the biographer of Prince Harry and his wife Meghan, and is seen as being close to the couple. Harry is one of the individuals whose claim is being tested in the 7-week trial that began on Wednesday, and the prince is expected to give evidence next month. Asked by ITV News if he had any comment on the allegations, Morgan said, I'm not going to take lectures on privacy invasion from Prince Harry, somebody who has spent the last 3 years ruthlessly and cynically invading the royal family's privacy for vast commercial gain and told a pack of lies about them. So I suggest he gets out of court and apologizes to his family for the disgraceful invasion of privacy that he's been perpetrating. Prince Harry is one of 4 individuals whose claims against Mirror Group newspapers, which publishes the Mirror, Sunday Mirror, and People, are being tested at this trial. In written submissions, he has described how the company's intrusive reporting destroyed his relationships. He said his former girlfriend, Chelsea Davy, decided that a royal life was not for her as a result of alleged unlawful information gathering by journalists working for Mirror Group newspapers. In addition to phone hacking, many of the claims relate to the millions of pounds spent by Mirror newspapers on private investigators who allegedly carried out illegal acts on behalf of the newspaper group. Mirror Group Newspapers has accepted that phone hacking took place at its titles and has already paid out more than £100 million in settlements and legal costs. It is fighting this trial on the basis that many of the claims were brought too late. In the case of Prince Harry, the company apologized for a single instance of illegal information gathering on the royal, but it insisted there was no evidence that its journalists hacked his mobile phone and said many of the stories about his private life came from other sources.
You know, Prince Harry's got 3 pieces of litigation going on against the Mail, against the Murdoch Company, and today his case against the Daily Mirror starts. The significance of Harry is twofold. A, he's got enough money that he is saying, I don't care what you offer me, I don't care how much it costs if I lose, I'm going to have a hearing. Do you know there's nearly 2,000 phone hacking cases have been silenced, where the people suing have been paid off before they could get to court. The risks of going on were just too terrifying financially. Okay, so we are moving towards an evidentiary hearing. The other point of Harry is, if, as is expected, he turns up to give evidence, the newspapers who would like to ignore this story can't do that. They're going to have to cover it. It's beautiful. But what isn't going to happen is that you're going to see structural reform of newspapers in this country so that they start telling the truth instead of dealing in falsehood and distortion. If we had succeeded, we would have that. This country would still be in the European Union if we'd achieved that. But you still have newspapers who abuse their power and, using falsehood, distortion and spite, damage this country over and over again.
Thanks for watching Royal Sussex.